So this part's gonna be all about the Centipede. I'm just gonna start with its manager. It's very similar to all the other critter managers. Um, it's got the spawn centipede function. So for the centipede manager, I did not get the solo head spawn to work and different speeds for the centipede and the solo heads to work as well. I didn't get any of that to work yet, or didn't get to work. So this is actually just left over from when I was trying to get it to work. But from what I do have done, it's similar to the other managers. It has a reduced head count. And actually, the Centipede manager, once the head count gets to zero, it'll start the next wave, and it'll increase the current player's wave as well. And then when the last Centipede is killed, let's see, where is it? It'll tell the Centipede head factory. It has the score command for when just a Centipede head dies, and also has a score command for when the all the centipedes on screen are dead. I believe the player gets 1,000 points for completing a level, pretty much. So when all the centipedes are gone, the level gets completed. So when a level is finished, it'll send that score command. Then okay, and let's see, where's the other one? So yeah, the create centipedes very similar, except it'll yeah, determines whether it goes left or right. That's really it. Um, Also returns, or it doesn't return a pointer though. Let's see. Yeah. So it has the reset similar to the other managers. It'll stop any sounds that it'll stop the centipede sound. Reset the head count. Except the centipede manager actually has show it right here. It's right here. A list of centipede heads, and this is for when the centipede splits, and it'll keep track of all the heads on screen. So when all the heads are killed, that's when the level advances. And in this reset, it goes through the list of centipede heads and it'll kill them. Call its kill function, and I'll get into that when I go into the centipede heads themselves. But that pretty much just kills the centipede head and all of its body segments. And then here are the functions I use to add or remove a centipede from the list. And then here's a function to stop the movement. This was going to get used for the, if I had time for the mushroom regeneration animation, I would have used this to stop the centipede movement. So that'd be for the centipede manager. Go into the head, the centipede head, and the body segments. They both use factories and object pools that are similar to all the other ones I've shown. Oh, don't need that. So here's the centipede head class. It is derived from a centipede base class. It'll be right here. So for the centipede head, it's got two different initializers. One is used for the initial centipede uh, spawn at the beginning of a level, and the second one is used to convert a body segment to a head segment. So here is the kill function, the stop movement function, just a lot of gets and sets, and then here is the split, and here's the create body function. And here are just some variables for it. Let's see. So for the initialize, this is the one that gets called for the initial centipede. So it sets all the variables to the right values. And then it also has a body count int right here. And based off of that, it'll call the create body function, which would be right, let's see, right here. Body count 0, it won't do anything. If it's more than 0, it'll call the centipede body factory and set the centipedes next and previous pointers appropriately. That way they're all linked together. They are a linked list. Um, Go back to the initialize. Okay, so after create body, just increases the head count, and right here it'll add the centipede to the list in the centipede manager. Then here is the initialize for when it gets when a body gets converted to a head. Very similar, except it takes a lot more parameters. So whatever the segment that gets converted into a head, it takes its previous and its next and sets them appropriately. Um, it gets the state of whatever, it'll get the state of that body segment or whatever it was at the time. It'll set it to this, gets the index at the time and sets it. Um, and it also gets added to the list in the Centipede manager. Here's the kill function. Um, this only gets called in the head, so it basically it just goes through the Centipede and it keeps going through uh, its next pointer, and it'll just keep killing or marking for destroy whatever is next. And if once it reaches the end of the linked list of the Centipede, it'll stop, and then it'll destroy itself. This is used when the waves get reset or the wave ends, as if like when the player dies. That's when this gets called. And then here's the stop movement. It's very similar to the kill. It just goes through each segment and sets its move state to no movement, so it doesn't do anything. Already went through get body. Here's just some gets sets. And here's the update. So uh, for the move state, it increases the index, and then once the index reaches the last index of the move offset, it'll adjust its column and row, and then it'll call the get next state on its current state and reset the index. And then it adjusts its position based off the move offset. It'll set the rotation as well and increase the index by 1. That's all the update does. Um, so I just only have one if in there, and that's really just the if to make sure that it gets a new move state. Draw, destroy, just some collisions. So for the bullet collision, creates an explosion. It when a centipede head or body collides with a bullet, a mushroom is forced to spawn um, in whatever cell it was going towards, or whatever cell was going into. And it actually adjusts the position of the centipede to whatever that cell would be, or whatever that position in the cell would be when it would be done for the move state. Then it'll call the mushroom field and try to place a mushroom there, and then it'll split. It clears its next and previous pointers, sends a score command, and then here it'll remove the centipede head from the list in the manager. Then here's the split function. It checks to see if there is a next segment, and if there is another segment, um, here in the centipede head factory, it'll convert the centipede head right here. That's when it gets all those variables and sets them appropriately in that longer initialize that I have. And then it'll set the set the segments pointers to 0 as well. That way pointers don't get mixed up, and it'll get destroyed. And that's it for the centipede head. Go into the body. Body, it's doesn't do as much as the head. Um, so lots of sets and gets. The initialize is pretty much similar, except it starts with no movement state. Um, it has a split. It's very similar to the head split, except when I was testing it, there was a bug to where if the body or a body and its previous are somehow hit in the same frame, um, a bug would happen where the previous would be when the previous pointer wouldn't work. So I have this just to be safe with that. And then yeah, it's very similar to the head split. Then I have a set move state for the centipede body, and then a get move state, some more skits, and then here's the update, similar to the head. Um, the current move state gets the move offset from the move state that it's in. It doesn't actually do any checks for the move state. The move state gets updated right here constantly. So I have a next state, and that will constantly get updated to whatever move state its previous segment is at. So it never actually um, computes its new move state itself. It just grabs whatever its previous is using, and then once it reaches the end of the move offset, it'll set its current state to that next state, and then just adjust the position and rotation. Let's see. So collision with the bullet, similar to with the head, forces the mushroom to spawn in the next cell. Tries to place a mushroom in that cell, it'll split. Cleans out the pointers, sends the score command, then destroys it. And yep, that is it for the. Oh, actually, I'll show off the move state. So here's the finite state machine for the Centipede. So here is the move FSM, all the states. Then here's the move state base class, and then I'll just go off of this poison, turn down and left, derives from the move state. And then here I got the move state. The move offset gets set up when it gets created, and then when it gets next day, and just in this case with the poison turned down and left, it'll if it reaches the bottom, it'll turn down and right. Or if it doesn't reach the bottom, its next state is turn down and right. If it does reach the bottom of the player area, it'll start moving left and up. Then I'll just show a normal one. There's a normal move state. Um, Gets the current position of the centipede head. Actually, it gets the cell that it's moving towards. Checks to get the state of that cell. If it's empty, continues moving. In this case, left and down. If it is blocked or if it's off the grid, it'll change the state. And then here's if it's blocked, it'll change the state appropriately. So if it reaches the bottom, it'll start going up. And then here's the poison. It'll change the state poison, turn down and right in this case. Let's see. Yep, that should be. Yep, that is it for the centipede.